Today on the podcast, I want to bring you some really interesting news out of Nvidia, because essentially Nvidia is bringing generative AI capabilities to some robotics platforms. They're doing some really interesting things. We know Nvidia is one of the biggest winners in this whole AI explosion that we're seeing. Their stock price rocked their valuation to over $1 trillion because of all the money they're making from AI and selling chips to companies to essentially train these AI models. So anytime Nvidia makes a play in this space, I think it is important to pay attention to, because they have a lot of money, a lot of clout, and they really do kind of see where the future of this is going. And for anyone that doubts me on that, you just look at the moves Nvidia has been making over the last couple of years to prepare it for this big chip surge that they were able to capitalize on. A lot of other players are trying to jump in on the space now, but it's going to take a very long time for them to scale up. Meta, for example, wants to make their own chips. It's going to take them a couple of years to scale up to be able to actually offer them. Nvidia was positioning themselves well before the AI revolution for something just such as this. And of course, they were also helping enable crypto mining and all that kind of stuff. So some people say that they just got lucky. I tend to think that they're a forward-thinking company that is kind of on top of their game. I guess that's a debate we can have. But in any case, I want to tell you about the latest thing that Nvidia is working on. I think it's very interesting, so let's dive into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Make sure that you go to aibox.ai, link in the show notes, to join the waitlist for our new AI platform. We're going to be launching an incredible platform that allows you to build anything you want with workflows in AI. So you're able to chain together ChatGPT and image generators and audio generators to make really powerful apps for your organization, or you can host them on our marketplace and actually generate royalties from them. So make sure to go to aibox.ai and join the waitlist. In addition, if you like the podcast, if you could do me a massive favor and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. This helps me be able to get better guests on here as they check the reviews to see how you guys are liking it. So if you could please do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Generative AI has been kind of a focal point in the robotics world, there's a ton of really intense discussions about its applications. And those are ranging from, natural language inference to design. And then I guess essentially during a recent visit to Nvidia's South Bay headquarters, there's a handful of journalists that spoke to Deepu Talla, who's the vice president and general manager of embedded and edge computing. And Talla was talking a lot about kind of this whole conversation and this whole topic of, AI and robotics and what Nvidia is doing at the moment. So he recently said, quote, "I think it speaks in the results. You can already see the productivity improvements. It can compose an email for me. It's not exactly right, but I don't have to start from zero. It's giving me 70%. There are obvious things you can already see that are definitely a step function better than how things were before." So summarizing something's not perfect. I'm not going to let it read and summarize for me, so you can already see some signs of productivity improvements. I think notably, Nvidia was kind of on the verge of unveiling their groundbreaking developments related to generative AI. The ROS-Con announcement coincided with several other significant updates in the robotics offering. So I think this includes the general availability of NVIDIA Isaac ROS 2.0 and NVIDIA Isaac SIM 2023 platforms. So these systems are now embracing generative AI, a move that I think is expected to kind of speed up its whole adoption around in robotics. NVIDIA points out that a staggering 1.2 million developers have engaged with NVIDIA AI and Jetson platforms. And they're counting, heavyweight clients like AWS, Cisco, and John Deere that are actively working with them. So a highlight, I think, of this development is that Jetson Generative AI Lab, which is a hub that provides developers with access to open source large language models. In relation to all of this, NVIDIA recently said, quote, "The NVIDIA Jetson Generative AI Lab provides developers access to optimized tools and tutorials for deploying open source LLMs, diffusion models to generate stunning images interactively,
vision language models, and vision transformers that combine vision AI and natural language processors to provide comprehensive understanding of the scene. So I think these models are really kind of poised to enhance the capabilities of systems to make decisions in previously untrained scenarios, particularly critical in dynamic environments like warehouses and factory floors. So the idea is essentially to enable these systems to adapt on the fly while offering kind of a more, a more natural language interface with all of them. So Deepu Talla was kind of underlying this in some recent comments, saying the significance of generative AI in this context is that, quote, generative AI will significantly accelerate deployment of AI at the edge with better generalization, ease of use, and higher accuracy than previously possible. The largest ever software expansion of our Metropolis and AI frameworks on Jetson, combined with the power of transformer models and generative AI, addresses this need. I think in addition to all of these advancements that we're seeing in AI and robotics today, the latest version of these platforms also brings improvements in perception and simulation, which is really kind of bringing in a whole new era where generative AI plays a really pivotal role in shaping the future of robotics. We've definitely already seen a lot of big robotics revolutions. You could just look at the fact that Amazon, for example, and all of the Amazon warehouses, some of these things are like insanely automated with robotics. There's not even a lot of people on the floor, where essentially there's just like shelves and shelves all over the place full of different products. And there's all these robots that just zip around, grab whatever you need, bring it to the fulfillment area just in time. That's how they've kind of got this whole like 1 day or 2 day shipping thing going really well in the US, is because of robotics and how they're able to automate and kind of run their warehouses. Now, what I think is going to be really interesting is when these robotics really get a lot more AI embedded into them. And of course, there's something like an Amazon warehouse, but I think there's a lot of really interesting use cases in my mind, beyond just maybe robots that are doing very like repetitive tasks. So you can imagine, for example, like a robot that is an electrician that's trained to, it's like a humanoid robot that can climb up an electrical pole and get something hooked up that, was previously sort of dangerous for a human to do. So I think there's a lot of really exciting use cases here. I think Nvidia is definitely, they're building software, they're building tools. It looks like they're building chips and other things that are going to be really useful in this space. And so I think Nvidia is definitely a company that's not missing out on this, and probably one that's going to continue to grow. When you kind of look at companies that are very forward thinking to where this whole industry goes, Nvidia would appear to be one of those companies. It's going to be really interesting to see how some of the software tools they're building enable AI to go into these robotics. Definitely a story we'll continue to follow in the future.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
This episode is brought to you by Klaviyo, the platform that powers smarter digital relationships. With Klaviyo, you can activate all your customer data in real time, connect seamlessly with your customers across all channels, guide your marketing strategy with AI-powered insights, recommendations, and automated assistance, deliver experiences that feel individually designed at scale, and grow your business faster. Power smarter digital relationships with Klaviyo. Learn more at klaviyo.com/Spotify. That's KLAVIYO.com/Spotify.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.